Warm up. We are warming up.
Look.
Wow. How fancy.
Such fun.
Very fancy.
What as I start sharing. Oops, not there yet.
Pico is actually here.
Pico, you missed yesterday.
Yes, Pico, you missed yesterday.
I don't know why I'm not assessing on this.
I'm not sure either. I'm not complaining.
And I was just thinking, should we have gotten anything from the Bob Ross game? I mean, it's not like super distinct, but it's just funny.
That works actually. It's an interesting component. I don't remember where it is though.
Sorry, I'm prepping links. I type very loud.
See, I can't remember.
I remember it's being there.
Yeah, same here, but you know, with all the stuff there now, it's kind of hard. So.
Side by side. Who is John Nazareth Espiritu na nagpapa-shoutout?
I'm not sure.
Well, I
That's
guess
the shout out.
I guess that's your shout-out.
Okay, found it.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so we have Pico, we have Jay, we have Mitch on Facebook, who also notices it is close to our 100th episode. Yes, that is true. Slowly but surely. But then like I'm trying to estimate like what's gonna happen on the 100th. Because of timing. It's probably gonna be midweek next week-ish.
Yeah.
Depending again if we have a Saturday. Well, we do have a Saturday, so will we have a Friday? Will we have a Wednesday next week? It's all variable. For those who joined us yesterday, I know we said we wouldn't have an episode today. Well, now we do. Because we're not pretending to be vampires today. People weren't available because real life is stressful.
Real life is real life. And it's sad, but that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we could possibly do for episode 100. I mean, because we just like finished the anniversary episode, and the interview episode is going to be weird numbers because right now it's 92, so 93, 94, 90, 95. Not bad for Precious, I think, for 95. Do you guys have suggestions for what we should do for the 100th episode?
Shirt feature, please.
Well, it's the Advanced TIE Fighter.
Yeah. Same one.
Yep. Yay, McCoy is here. We have McCoy to thank for today's topic that we rolled at the last minute. And when I say roll, it really is. I run a random number generator on the list of remaining topics for Baduy Pride from the suggestions, and then we pick. So every time we clear a topic from the list, I update all the numbers so that the count is contiguous, and then I run a random number generator again. I could create a random number array of unique numbers of topics, but that seems more complicated than just updating the Excel sheet every time.
Mhm.
And it's so funny. I say Excel, it's not. It's a Google sheet. So that's a Colgate moment for you instead of saying toothpaste. There's a lot of actually events going on today. I know Spaces has like their regular
Her story.
story drag feature, and it has DD today. And then there's a big benefit concert over on Drag House PH for the recent typhoon victims. So I know it's a crowded Wednesday, but we figured this is still fun.
And we're happy to have you with us.
Yes.
1 minute and we start.
But yeah, if you guys have suggestions for stuff we can do for episode 100, what do you guys want to do for episode 100? Just assume it's going to happen in the middle of the week. So it's kind of weird. Probably a third, like this, because look, okay, let's run the calendar. So 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. Oh, 100 could be Friday. 100 could be Friday, guys. What do we do for Friday?
We could make sure it's a Friday. Cancel some episodes and move some, double up on some.
Well,
episodes
as long as we pretend to be vampires on Wednesday next week, we are on track for episode 100 to fall on a Friday. Wow! Should we have a guest? Should we have many guests? What do we do?
100 shots.
Kenny, my camera phone is quite fast. I think I can do 100 shots easy. Of course, David is coming in the comment also saying that he expects it to happen on Friday next week, and he is the mathematician, so we trust his estimation.
Thinking of randoming us to guess. That's possible.
But if we name you, then it's not random. Oh.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I mean, we tried the random guest thing once, and then it was like a mixed bag because it also has to be people who are like game.
Mhm.
Guys, look, caption transitions. Ah!
That's fun.
Oh, but it's like
What?
It's always coming. It's a wipe from the side. Anyway, okay, we should start. Ready?
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted, but not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us. We talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. So tonight is our 92nd episode, and we are talking about
interesting board game components. Okay, so we had to really think about this for a bit. No, wait, there's like Carlo, and of course we didn't quite read Kenny, but so McCoy suggested this topic, and then we figured, so we didn't want to just cite games with pretty components. So things like Tokaido and a lot of miniature games, like by definition, have fun minis. So it didn't really feel like a super distinct thing to cite. It's like saying Doctor Who Risk has nice Daleks, but that's like majority of the components in the game that it has Daleks. Or Carcassonne has fun tiles. It's a tile game, so I don't know. So we thought we tried to go for like more interesting, unique pieces that in most cases aren't necessarily central to gameplay, or at least are more just helpful to gameplay or a small aspect. I don't know. I mean, like the criteria is a little wibbly wobbly, but in general, we just tried to avoid. We didn't really pick out minis because they're just a lot of minis.
A lot of minis. The question is the craftsmanship of the mini, which isn't really the focus of this topic. The focus of this topic are components that catch your eye, that are interesting, and are not necessarily only available if you get the deluxe edition of the game.
That's true.
So
I'm guilty with Tokaido.
So we also
edition.
had to avoid a lot of deluxe edition releases, which tend to have the more awesome parts, like Suburbia in the image, for example,
Is
that we
the
showed.
tower.
Has the tower and the plastic thing, so it's part of the image we used to showcase the coming of this episode, but it's not on the list.
Yeah, I know. It's a trap, guys. It's a trap. Plus, it was already cropped for Square social posting.
We also will have to skip some of the stuff that we have raved about so many times. From the beautifully weighted tokens of splendor to the tactile, satisfying pieces of Azul.
Azul.
We are then instead focusing on other games and other components that we like.
Yeah, and it's an excuse to pull out games we haven't really talked about. Hello, Karen.
And so I guess,
yes, Kenny, that was clickbait in a photo.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a board game by the name of Clickbait, or at least we haven't heard of one. But that sounds like an awesome name for a board game.
There was an autocomplete.
Okay, there is. Okay, good. Because if there wasn't, I'd be like, shame on you, world. Why hasn't there been a Clickbait game?
It's a 2018 game.
And it's really clickbaity in concept.
Yes.
Yeah, unimaginable.
But it's like based on clickbait products, not clickbait headlines.
All right, so let's get started. And this, we shall go through only games in our collection. So sadly, this will not include stuff like Everdell, which has that majestic tree.
Yeah, or what was that game where everybody's like in this ship and then we're traveling from planet to planet?
I think that was Celestia.
Celestia, I think yeah, that was super cute.
So we won't have those in the list, and yay, we've hit 10! We've hit 10! But yeah, we are only focusing on games that we actually own.
I wanted to. Wait. I don't want. Good job.
I am very impressed. Tube Guy doesn't want to drop today. I'm leaving him there until he drops.
Only because this is so strange. Tube Guy wants to be an interesting game component.
Okay, Tube Guy, you can stay there, but we will continue with the show. And to start it off,
Maya's here. We have Chinua. Hey,
May.
And someone named Samuel Makalaglat. Welcome to the stream.
So Tube Guy, as you can all see, has decided to stay up there. But we will start with
Bob Ross. The art of Tube Guy is now a co-host. Apparently, he wants to replace Toby.
Yeah.
Actually, we only talked about this during the intro. But then, what game component are you gonna highlight?
Okay, so the thing about the Bob Ross game that you have to realize is, despite it not being any significantly innovative game or anything of such complexities, there's so much love in this game.
Hey, Jed.
From the box itself that showcases the paints to the color palette that's used to track scores, then every individual player has their own palette, which is color-coded, of course, to the paintings that you try to Show Guy, don't you want us to have the show? To the paintings which you want to try to complete.
Nakikili daw si Kenny kay Tube Guy.
And finally, you of course, in order to display the paintings, you have a stand that comes with the game.
It is pretty much a plastic easel thing.
And you get to put the painting there.
And then it's functional in that there's little circular knobs at the end where you can align, and it perfectly aligns with the shape, although Toby doesn't always align it. But that all goes out well. But what interesting component are you most happy with in this game?
I personally feel they're all fantastic. What do you choose?
I choose the fact that Bob Ross has been immortalized as a meeple. Yeah, and then how it works with the game, it's just funny. So Bob Ross Art of Chill is a very strange, super painting related game.
That has no chill.
That has no chill. It's very cutthroat. But definitely, they really embraced their own theme of it being a painting game. And more specifically, a Bob Ross painting game. So
I think you guys are gonna be standing for the entire episode. This is so shocking.
I think he needs to contact his doctor.
I'm very impressed. And I'm very puzzled. But yeah, I'm leaving him up there. So that's our first.
Yes.
What do you want to go with next?
I just go with the stack because it's hard to organize.
Our next game is
Secret Hitler.
Chuga has slightly turned. No. So Secret Hitler is one of those social deduction games wherein two groups from opposing teams try to win. And in this case, it's the fascists
versus the
and
liberals.
And what makes this game have fantastic components is...
Well, I mean, to be fair, the main board is already quite pretty. And they included several boards based on number of players. And so that's pretty helpful. They didn't just go with playing cards, but they went with pretty much cardboard. Yeah. I guess what I really wanted to highlight for Secret Hitler more than anything else is there are two main roles in the game, two public roles in the game, which is the Chancellor, and the President. And they are given these little stands that you put on the table as if you were at your desk. And what's even better, on the back of each are instructions on what your specific role means.
So they're beautiful, they're expensive,
very thematic, that it's very political.
It's nice that when you're having the game, it's in front of you, so it feels like your title.
I am the Chancellor.
But then when you have that shameful moment of, wait, what do I do again as the president?
You just have to look.
And it's awesome.
The font size is not great. It's like challenging.
Well, it's not great for our age.
Yes, but it's super helpful, and in that sense, it's already great. So I think that alone, that piece of love for Secret Hitler goes a long way. Oh, it's Mashu. Hello, Mashu. Yes, the game is Secret Hitler. So super smart. I mean, like, they really... So again, it's games that embrace their own theme. Between Bob Ross and Secret Hitler, they really went for it.
Up next, in terms of games with components that we really like, Forbidden Sky.
Okay, Forbidden Sky is the latest in the Forbidden line of games.
By Matt Leacock.
Yeah, who is probably most popularly known for coming up with Pandemic. And he has not given up on this idea of cooperative games and pretty much has reskinned it with certain modifications into many games.
Now, Forbidden Sky is a wealth of interesting components. Everything from having this arrow system in order to note direction of the wind.
And take note, that's also the starting player pace.
Yeah. To having all these little nice cardboard pieces, which is a constant in the games he creates for the tiles.
Yes.
But what makes this stand out is the fact that you have a number of elements that... Oops, okay, I'm worried of breaking it.
Yeah, be careful!
You have a number of elements that work with this.
So the goal of the game is to escape on this little rocket ship. But the rocket ship, if you notice all the other components, have metallic sides to them. And it's because...
So even these have a metallic portion. And even the towers have a metallic portion, because the game is all about building the network.
And you got little metal discs
that you need to build that will allow the circuit to be complete.
So yeah, if you... I don't know if it's going to be visible on the video, but two of the legs of the rocket have metal ends because, yes, it's positive and negative.
So with this,
once you complete a circuit and you press the switch, it will trigger a launch sequence representing you leaving.
Which we will not show.
It's hard because we have to make a circuit first.
And it is worth experiencing.
I have it on Instagram somewhere. Or I think it was an Instagram story.
The joy of successfully forming that circuit is really fulfilling. And then without spoiling it,
yeah, it's something that is spoil worthy.
Yeah, actually realizing you've... Tube guy. Tube guy, move. Actually realizing that it can be done is such a delightful feeling.
Yep. So that's Forbidden Sky. Awesome job.
So let's move to our next game.
Toby, the stack is very tall beside you. I'm worried that you're trying to stack them all. Okay, but next one is Dice Forge. Dice Forge is one of the few dice rolling games that we have in our collection, and we super enjoy it. First thing to notice is actually, you'll notice the box art has almost like Diablo-esque figures there, whereas all other sides, it's plain, which is because this represents the end of the board, and you lay out a board in front of it, which is kind of cool.
The board comes with a section that is
Careful.
the tiles that are used in the game, but the game itself is already set up in a way that let me just
take out the board.
Carefully there. That allows you to store everything in a nice, neat way.
Yep, and then there's like player components and stuff. So great insert to begin with. But the core joy of Dice Forge are the dice, and you'll notice that they're kind of thick, they're kind of big. It's actually because, and I can do it with my finger, I think. Oop, barely. You can remove the die faces because a key mechanic of the game is customizing your dice so that that you have better rolls as the game progresses. Bye, guy. Okay, so and you get a sun die and a moon die, and then you customize throughout the game.
So a large part of what we like about this game is the fact that whenever you play, you find yourself wanting to try new tactics, and this desire for new tactics still has luck.
Yeah. I mean, so it's still not super great for Toby, but you do feel like you have a chance of changing your luck in your favor or to a particular strategy, and that goes on well.
There is that joy that
checking the top here.
There is that joy that as you play and upgrade things, you literally feel you are upgrading the thing. In this case, you're changing the faces of the die, you're adjusting it. But then there is that frustration, at least in my case, that they never show up when you roll it.
And then even the dice that you the die faces you remove, the number of die faces could have impact depending on the monsters you're facing and stuff. So they really put a lot of thought into it. And then the expansion gives you more faces. Hey Amos, I'm sorry. Yes, surprise, we did an episode because we didn't have vampires. So which tells me we're not connected on social. I wonder how you find us. It would be great if we connect. Okay, so that's Dice Forge.
So we'll move to the next one, but while we're moving to the next one, if you have certain games whose components you love, don't forget to comment them in so we can talk about them as well.
Yeah, we might have a copy. I don't know if we'll be able to pull it out very quickly, but okay, of course, Toby brought this one. Dungeon Pets
by Vlada Shivatil.
Ooh, Toby said that name with confidence.
Dungeon Pets includes a lot of awesome components, from player boards that double as your shields because they are meant to hide how you plan your moves in the game.
And it has full art on the inside.
Yeah, so the bottom part is the functional part, which is used in the game, but then the top part, which is the shield, is the reminder of all the rules you have to pay attention to during your turn. It has a nice, beautiful board, but that's not the focus of today's episode. Today's episode is about the fantastic components. And since Dungeon Pets is pretty much a game about raising monsters and taking care of them,
it's like Pokemon.
You have eggs. Look at all these fun eggs. And the best part of these eggs...
Toby nominated this one for the list.
When you are ready to play with them, they turn into monsters. And look at them, cute monsters. Each egg has a rotatable portion in the bottom, which
sort of like HeroClix,
which allows you to keep track of what type of food or needs the pet may have as they go and get older. It's an intricate system that requires you to pay attention to your pets.
But the individual art's super cute.
And you have to pay attention enough to know when hurting them is acceptable.
A lot of people are asking, is Space Truckers in the list? I think you mean Galaxy Trucker, which is also a Vlada game, but It was a near miss. It's also harder to bring out.
So you have Galaxy Trucker and you have Space Alert.
Ah, that's true. You may have combined two different games.
And sadly, they are not on the list.
Yeah.
Because in as much as they are fun games, we felt their components do not really stand out.
Yeah, I mean, like, because Galaxy Trucker is a bunch of tiles, essentially, with some unique stuff.
And while the tiles themselves were interesting,
but it's all cardboard.
It's really just tiles.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have nice art.
And then Space Alert. I mean, the only thing nice about Galaxy Trucker and Space Alert are some of the plastic pieces, but it's really because people want to eat the batteries.
Yes.
They look delicious.
Those yummy green
They
batteries.
look like glowing Tic Tacs.
But let's keep moving.
You're really going with the big games first, huh?
Just so that they can properly stack.
Okay.
Our last big game on the list is Solkin.
Solkin, the Mayan calendar, is really an end of the world game. No, the fact that they mentioned the Mayan calendar in the name really defines the main mechanic. This game does have crystal skulls, which are pretty cool too. But more than those plastic skulls, I think it's really this. It's the wheel. So a core part of the game is this sort of pseudo Mayan wheel. It doesn't get captured well in the video, but there is a lot of etched in, embossed, whatever detail. Oh, that's nice. Detailed onto the wheel. We have seen people who have customized the wheels with paint, and they look great. I don't know how we would want to paint it, so we left it unpainted.
Now, in as much as you might say, okay, it's cool, it's got a wheel, you have to realize it's not just a wheel. It's an interlocking wheel.
Because there are more wheels, and I don't know how to connect this
As the board is spread out, the wheels interlock, and they all start moving and affecting each other. Because a large part of the game is anticipating where certain tokens will be when the wheel moves. So looking at this portion, as you can see here.
Oh, and then each of the circular nubs is a place where you can put a player token. And as you put the player token, they move along the track and changing the reward you can get
from the outer wheel. Now keep in mind, all these wheels are connected and are affected by the main wheel. So you have yourself not just planning moves based on availability of spaces, but planning ahead because the calendar does show the passage of time.
So yes, it's worker placement and temporal change. And worse, every player has a special ability they can use once in the game where the wheel moves twice.
Yes.
Which totally ruins people's plans.
This game is, so far all we've explained is the base game. If you ever choose to get this game, know that the expansion even adds the joy of extra player powers. But Solkin in itself is the Mayan calendar, and it has one of the best board components we've ever seen.
Maya was asking if we have Villainous. We thought about like Villainous is another case of like all the player pawns are quite awesome.
Yeah.
But then it's like then all of them are awesome. So I mean, it's very pretty. The card art is very good, but I didn't think it didn't quite hit us for like truly interesting or like it super stands out.
Yeah, and the minifigs, as pretty as they were done, don't really do anything else.
Yeah.
So we were kind of hoping, okay, so it's just like another nice minifig.
Yeah, I mean, you can get the same effect from a chess piece.
I would have been happy if I would have added it to the list if the player piece was already pretty, and then maybe you can connect stuff to it, or you can use it to hold something, and that little aspect makes it then an awesome.
I would be very scared though if villains could vault in.
Anyone else?
Maya mentions Karen's Her Majesty as something of a wheel component. I don't remember Her Majesty.
Oh, that's the. Okay, I'm mixing up with the Queen's necklace, but yeah.
But then Carla does say, "Wow, all of these seem pretty mind blowing." And yeah, and that's there's a lot of games we got because they're interesting and they stand out. Oh, Kenny was asking if Nyctophobia is on the list. The game that like blind person can play.
It should be. We should. I'll see if I can grab it.
Okay, it's at the very bottom of a stack.
Okay, I'm having trouble opening the next one because the next one is our Metal Tin edition of the Forbidden Desert.
So Forbidden Desert actually comes before Forbidden Island.
Yes.
Oh, this is gonna be painful.
I'll let you do that while I prepare the other one.
Because it's metal. So metal things, like with DVDs, can get rusty. So the manual itself was super thematic with this very evocative piece of art on the back. Similarly, so you have sand tiles that represent the worsening conditions in the desert. There are the main tiles that represent the sort of player board. But the core part of the game is that you're trying to find an airship that is buried somewhere in the sand, and the airship will help you escape.
But its parts have been scattered.
You'll notice there are gaps. So, like, you need a power source.
You need an engine. You need the propeller. And as you find them, you actually can...
propellers here in the back.
Yep. Snap them in place so you build the airship. And the best part is you can actually place...
And you put all the... Oh, wait, no. There's a sundial.
Yeah, the sundial is still there. There. So by finding all 4 pieces, you complete the airship, and then you are allowed to escape and win the game.
The best we can do is we balance all the player pawns on the wings. So that... And you can have up to 4 players. So... But it's so fulfilling when it all comes together. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. But yeah... this alone, it's like, okay, and then spoiler alert is that what's this? The starting player piece, the starting tile of Forbidden Desert features a crashed helicopter, because in the previous game, Forbidden Island, you escape the sinking island
by getting to
the chopper. In Forbidden Sky that we showed earlier, that starting piece also includes the airship
having crashed
on the landing strip. So it's
theory,
super interconnected.
Yeah, in theory, you can play a forbidden
campaign
and go through each game in sequence, and that's pretty fun.
You are a terrible set of adventurers because
you keep crashing
in different places. Carlos asking, what components do you want to see more of?
Okay, that's tricky.
I mean, like, it's hard to say like components off the bat, because I think in both, I think we agree in both cases that we're more interested to see how they're used, because there are some components that are pretty standard, but because they're used in a creative way, then they become a lot more interesting.
So marbles are fantastically used in Potion Explosion.
Yeah, we don't have a copy of that game, but that game literally has lines of marbles rolling down a cardboard track,
and that has it uses gravity in terms of how the marbles flow out, and then it has that Zuma feel of when you want to take a group of a certain color, and then they all start colliding down.
Mitch mentioned earlier Wingspan, which is definitely a game with many beautifully done components, and I think the birdhouse dice tower is awesome because it was super thematic
and totally unnecessary.
But yet, as far as dice towers go, it's a pretty functional dice tower. I have obviously tested several dice towers, and most of them have the dice popping out of the tray. Wingspan does pretty well, and it's fairly stable, but more importantly, beautiful, like every component of that game.
It's easy to say a lot of dexterity games tend to hit the component factor quickly, because a lot of them do require more interesting components to work well. For example, Dr. Panic has a rubber bladder system, like a whoopee cushion, that you need to use when you're doing CPR.
Jay has played Potion Explosion, but only the app. Oh my God!
What was the?
Gotta play the marbles.
What was the cooking game Karen had?
Oh yeah! Oh my God! What was the cooking game?
Because that one had you flipping pancakes in order to successfully do things.
Yes,
and you're grabbing the spices.
Pancakes were just cardboard pieces. They were just flat.
And then you had to shake out from shakers,
salt and pepper,
and hopefully not get the wrong thing out.
Yes, that was like very smart. Very oddly complicated game for cooking. So yeah, that was the thing. That was
so dexterity games tend to have those interesting components. Admittedly, we're not huge fans of dexterity games.
Yeah, the closest is probably us getting like fold it. But then that main thing is Karen also cannot remember the name of the cooking game. We love it, Karen. Though we will play it again just because we're stubborn.
And then there are games that have innovated in how they use tiles. Another Karen game, Parfum. Had you building the perfume with different layers.
Yes.
Viticulture had you using those glass beads to represent the different types of grapes and wines you're combining.
That was pretty. I mean, and then there's standard glass beads, like glass beads you use for like measuring Magic the Gathering token creatures.
But then again, while there are beautiful and pretty components, we always rave about components being used in a more interesting way. So like in as much as many games have wooden tiles and wooden components, Lowlands, which we featured in another episode,
has a half sheep. No, that's not an official token.
has this brilliant way of showing how the floodwaters and the dike work in the game, which is having the sap and the layers. Nyctophobia was the other game which we should have had earlier.
Kenny reminded us of its relevance for this topic.
But if memory serves me right, and I could be wrong, the designer of the game, I can't read the name, Catherine Stippel, wanted to play more with, I think, a family member who was losing their eyesight. So this game was born. In this game, you are people lost in the woods, and there is a killer who is out to get you. So how do you... That's how it works. So how do you play that game? You have glasses that blind you when you play.
They are opaque.
And then you have all these plastic tiles, which are needed.
They're a loose rock.
I'm sorry. Okay. Because the main game board is created using those tiles, and play is done through touch.
Yes. So you literally take your finger, and then you will see. There's nothing. Okay, there's nothing in front of me.
I'll demonstrate a real quick fact.
Okay.
So nyctophobia draws on the concept of, getting lost in the woods and being afraid of the dark.
I love the fact that many people are already singing along Shia LaBeouf. Thank you.
So this is what a forest path would look like. The tiles are just placed in using these pegs to create the tile. But since you're playing blind, you are forced to feel around, and you're like, oops.
Yeah, then we're like, up. There's trees to my west and trees to my south. I can try moving north.
Or like it's a dead end.
Oh, trapped. Okay, so all these things.
Part of the joy of this game is that even the player tokens are specific tokens that have patterns cut into them. So by feeling them, you can figure out whether...
We didn't cite villainous because the player tokens are pretty but not interesting.
Yeah, but here they're pretty interesting because the tactile nature is important, and when you feel the token, they're designed to be prominent enough so you could recognize if you're touching a player piece, but just enough not prominent so you'll think it's the killer.
And there's even the funny mechanic of like you can flip over when you hide, so you have a shallower version of your pattern. So there's someone who is the cross, and then on the other side it's a shallower cross. Oh my god! Of course, the killer, whether it's the serial killer or the witch, is a perfectly smooth piece.
So if you're feeling it and all you feel is the smooth edge, you panic because you immediately think at first, "Oh my god, it's the killer." And then you're like, wait, no.
It's upside down. He's hiding. It's hiding. And you can't talk about it if it's hiding.
So that's nyctophobia.
So yeah, Pico wants to try nyctophobia. Jed asking you play it blindfolded.
The glasses.
The shades are opaque. It's actually a little distracting. We tell people to close their eyes still. Because if you open your eyes with the opaque glasses, you get this weird reflecting effect of any light in the room. So there, see? Super.
See there, you can see the light source in the other side of the room.
Yeah, so it's a little disorienting, but it works. It works. So nyctophobia, the game you play with your eyes closed. Oh my god. And it does consist of also someone being the killer character and having to shout out. Okay, so nyctophobia.
Yeah. So we are down to our last two. Are there more comments before we move on to our last two?
Yeah. I mean, I think we got a lot of people excited for nyctophobia. It's a great game, guys.
So other examples of the ones that didn't make the list, Hanabi is pretty in the sense that...
Well, if you have the deluxe ed...
Yeah, that you have mahjong tiles, which you can then stand, and it allows you to, hold them and stuff. But again, it doesn't really do anything new with it.
It's just replacing the cards.
And it's a deluxe edition, so we didn't add that. Carcassonne has a lot of interesting shaped meeples, from the dragon to the builder and all that.
It's just the dragon.
But again, it doesn't really do anything with it, so we didn't include those.
Yeah.
I love
Princess Dragon.
Yeah, I was tempted to include Mouse Guard, Sword, and Stronghold because it has pretty carved pieces.
Little mice.
But in the end, it's just carved pieces. It's like chess pieces, so it doesn't really serve any new purpose. So that's the tricky part about this challenge. Treasure Island has a lot of awesome things,
but then it's like corely tied to the main. I mean, it's a compass, it's a pen, it's like rulers. I mean, it's close. It's close.
Mm-hmm.
It's like saying Captain Sonar's acetate stuff.
Yeah.
It's like.
But then again, if we include that doesn't then.
It's a rabbit hole.
Why do all other acetate games not get the nod?
Yeah. So like we had to make a little distinguishment. So Karen, for the same reason, Tokaido Deluxe Edition we didn't bring up because it's a deluxe edition, so not everybody who gets the game has access to the same beautiful components.
Now, a game company called Gameland Games has been releasing a lot of games that each of them have innovative approaches.
Yes,
but we had to choose one, and we chose
Tiny Epic Quest, which is the first of the Tiny Epic games that introduce what they officially call item meeples.
Similar to earlier to the Bob Ross game, the game itself has a lot of love. The boxes are meant to be useful in their own way.
It's a dice tray and it's functional for reminders.
But then they go crazy with all the components they want the game to have. Let's start with your item meeples.
So item meeples are just plastic meeples, but you'll notice they have holes where their hands should be.
Because given the game is a thematic game about taking quests and going on adventures, wouldn't you expect people going on adventures to have artifacts and treasures?
So we have a little display, which is very annoying to get the pieces off of, but it displays all the artifact items that are you can possibly get in the game.
But it's not just visual.
No.
So you can take one off.
What did you give me? Okay. Oh, it's the lantern. And you can put it on your meeple.
And you might be wondering, what's the point of putting them on the meeple? Because certain meeples are the only ones who have access to that power in the game. And as you have multiple units to move around in the board at that time, it allows you different combos. It allows you different tactics. At times, even, you will find yourself having your people meet up so you can switch stuff around and then they can head out again.
And you only have 2 hands. You can only have 2 items with you. And as the game progresses, you will get more. Putting it back. Okay.
So that is the item meeples.
To be fair, okay, so that ever since Tiny Epic Quest,
I got it.
Okay, they have released additional games that utilize the item meeples. Tiny Epic Zombies gives you zombie apocalypse type weapons, and a silly thing like a giant meeple for a bike and a car, which was like okay.
And then
there's Tiny Epic Mechs, so you can
have that giant power armor thing.
But then the gameplay wasn't that great. It was like a little disappointing. So, yeah. Oh wow. Okay. First question is Carlo was asking, are there games that incorporate digital things, apps, and media? There are many. I think the most notable, well, one is Toby's ever favorite Space Alert, because there is an audio track that you can play that times the game. More importantly, there's XCOM.
Yes.
The XCOM app gives dynamic events.
And mimics the difficulty of the XCOM game. So death is very common in that game.
What always throws me off about that game is when it changes the sequence of events. And then suddenly, what? We're doing science last? So
you have other games that incorporate apps in more and less direct ways. For example, First Martians cannot be played without the app.
Because you need it for like the random event element.
Same with The Alchemists, which has you trying to guess combinations and the app tells you if you're doing it correctly. There's Chronicles of Crime.
Oh, that really needs the app.
It makes use of QR codes, so you need to scan things in order to play it right. And then there's, of course, Detective, which is not just an app, but a microsite that actually houses the information that you need to solve the case.
And so much coffee. Okay, so yeah, a lot of those. Maya was asking what game has the circle line map. That's Treasure Island. That's Treasure Island where
maybe we should show it.
We mark stuff out.
Might as well show it for its pretty components.
Yeah. Oh, and then actually Karen asks, what about Rattle Battle Grab the Loot? What do you think of its components? Actually, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Rattle Battle uses a lot of multicolored dice, which is cute. But then I think what's really more interesting is just the ship building element.
Yeah, we should have included it because it's not just nice parts, but it allows you the freedom to like build the ship the way you want. Like, my cannons are here, my sail is here, and then the dice themselves. It's quite innovative because not only are they dice with the values important, but they also determine who's where.
Yes. When they're thrown out on the board. Mm. So that's a good point. Treasure Island. And then we just stop there. Treasure Island has player. It's a player versus player to some degree because one is Blackbeard who is imprisoned and they're trying to get information out of him about where it's stolen. So the main board is beautiful but not functional because you will be drawing on it with whiteboard markers and the contrast is just terrible. There are too many colors.
It is functional but not well made.
Yes.
The contrast is not that well. But then the game box comes with all these compartments. I'm worried about breaking it. There.
It's like special points for nice inserts, right?
Because they sort of want to have that feel of treasure and stuff, and then you have this paper thing, which is
cardboard,
cardboard thing. So it has a lot of neat little tidbits that you could use from the tiny map, which is a duplicate of the main map, which allows you to scribble notes and you can like trade information. It has the player shields, which allow you to hide your version of the cheat sheet of the map, because it's all about trying to find where the treasure has been hidden.
Okay, then you really name a dot on the map, and this is where the treasure is, and then everybody has to figure it out.
Now, since it has to do with drawing, the game does include drawing tools, from rulers to protractors to even a compass to make sure you can draw those circles where you're digging and hoping to find if that's where the treasure has been hidden. So it's got a lot of these awesome components. I think for me, the reason why I didn't include this in the list was because they were basically working as that. As rulers, as compasses.
And do you need to have this exact compass to play the game? Probably not. You could rig it with a string. I mean, it wouldn't be pretty. But there's a lot of love in this game. And it's definitely one of those games that we can't really play well. I mean, you can play a two-player game in quarantine, but then one player has to control like all the pirates, and then someone is Blackbeard. It's not as fun. It's super fun when you have a lot of people involved. But yeah, Treasure Island.
Kingdom Hearts game set.
No, that's the spammer.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, well, Talisman has released the Kingdom Hearts
last name
version of the game.
Bacarisas.
But I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna buy it. It's so tempting, but it's hard to tell. Sorry, where are we?
I was going to report that comment.
Okay.
So Treasure Island not meant to be played with yellow light.
Karen, that's so true. Not meant to be played in yellow light. So the last one I have in the list is a game that doesn't get that often playtime, but it is one which is near and dear to me, and it is Myth. Okay.
Explain Myth.
Myth has you play Myth, who are on a quest to get the great cheese from the dragon.
It is a small, cutesy game.
So you can see it's all cute. You got that mouse with the
sword.
You got the dragon. So it's like a storybook game, right? So it's like a storybook game. Oops, I opened it the wrong way. Yeah. It's got a pop-up board, which sadly does not stay open that easily.
Yeah, you tend to have to weigh it down, and then it's not it's mildly functional in the sense that this is where all the players start at the beginning of the game. Then you have the little pieces to represent movement,
And then the dots on the board represent how much points you need to move. You have the dragon meeple, you have the mice meeple,
and like as far as like sorry dragon meeples go, it's nicely evocative.
and then you have the cheese, which is heavy and metal.
It is the golden cheese, which has no game function other than being the MacGuffin.
The game uses large, oversized cards as you try to play the cards you need to move through the board and land at the precise spot where you want to land. But then other players take their turns to steal cards from you, which becomes this nice bluffing mechanism of trying to make sure you keep the cards you want to keep to land on the right spot.
It's surprisingly complicated because it has card drafting from one another and then just trying to figure out sets and all these things. And
I know there are other board games coming out that do use the pop-up book feel, but I think this was the first one that I've seen it that I really liked.
and it's just smart. It gave the board such character. And then for such a tiny experience, I mean, look at that. Compare it to Treasure Island. It's a tiny game. So it actually can travel fairly well, but I wouldn't play it in a moving vehicle because that pop-up board moves around a lot.
So what other games did not make the cut? There was photosynthesis.
Which like, yay, trees, but then okay, then it's just cardboard trees.
They did have the aspect of blocking the lines of light. And supposedly the height of the tree does allow you to determine whether or not light still passes through, which is nice. But I guess admittedly it was one of the games that the joy wore out real quick.
And then I wish, like, I mean, the way they represented the sun moving around was kind of cute as this arc that is attached to the board, and then it moves from vertex to vertex. But then it's like, it was okay. And then we thought about things like Tang Garden, which is just chock full of beautiful components. But then it's just like you're paying for minis.
Oh, I think I remember now the one last game we should feature.
Oh, there is one more.
Yes.
Kenny's asking about what about the exits? We would love to talk about the exits, but then talking about exits with unique components would mean spoiling the exit. So exit, for those unfamiliar, are escape room games. So we don't want to bring them up because they are one-time experiences, and we don't want to spoil it for you. But there are interesting components in some of those games.
So I wasn't able to get the base game, but Gloom deserves to be mentioned.
Okay, that's fair. As a central mechanic, but it's like functional and.
Okay, this one's sealed.
No, I just moved the tape.
I'll let you open it because I'm terrible at that.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. There's a flap on top. That's not tape. Okay. There.
So the joy about Gloom is that the gameplay is all about making your team the most miserable team ever in the game. So you win by being the first one to run out of family members.
You have family members on these translucent cards with a lot of text. And then you have modifiers. See? And notice they're also translucent.
Because then when the family member gets the card, in this case,
wrong side.
Yeah, wrong side. You see the bonuses that the family member gets. But then later cards might block out certain bonuses or replace them completely, which makes this game quite a delight, but painful sometimes to pick up.
Yeah, and then the narrative quote. Sorry, did you mix in the character cards?
Sorry.
The narrative aspect of the game gets a little tiring because then people just get focused on the mechanics, so they stop telling the story and just say, "I play this," and you know it's unavoidable. It's a game. It's still a game, but
it's a lovely game that uses the acetate system to its advantage. Other games have tried to do something like this as well. Which one was that other one? The one with the nature. The It had the tarot card thing, and then it had multiple slots that you can upgrade. And we never bought it even when it was on sale. I can't remember. But yeah.
Then sorry, the game is Gloom, hence because you're making sad people. So this is already Gloom in space. But there is a Gloom. The original Gloom is really just like very Tim Burton-esque in its aesthetic, and it has a few expansions. We haven't played them as much as we should. But yeah, the very clever card game. Karen saying our game with the Edgar Allan Poe theme.
That one.
Mask of the no?
Yeah, that one was interesting, but the components weren't that fascinating. The gameplay was fascinating because it had you trying to guess what time it
had nice minis.
Yeah.
It had nice minis. It's definitely a game that falls in that category. Are you still trying to figure out?
Yes, I'm trying to figure it out. I can't remember what it's called. I think it started with the letter E.
Other things of interest, I guess, while we're here.
Wait, we both left the camera.
Okay. Okay. I just like Happy Salmon because it's sold in a fish. And then it's just a bag that contains cards. It's like honorable mention. Happy Salmon! Toby is still looking. Other things that are probably a near option. Actually, a lot of Oink games. A lot of Oink games can surprise you with what's contained inside. I think the most recent that we got that was surprising was what's this? Who's the chicken? Fafnir, the chicken that lays gems. Surprisingly interesting components crammed in that box. Mr. Face has you building faces and the cardboard pieces they threw in are great. Thank you, Mitch, for giving us this game. And then I'm thinking about but the others are like mostly cardboard tiles.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess that's it.
Yeah, I think that's we've covered more than enough at this point. Like, we keep staring at the collection and like, are there things?
Yeah, because there's stuff that you're tempted to highlight, but you realize it's not fair to highlight them.
Happy Salmon!
I mean, like we have the anniversary edition of Galaxy Trucker, which then also includes a lot of the expansions, including the ship, which is actually meant to be a tube. And stuff like that. But those are more mechanics, or those are more utilizing systems.
Mitch asked Tricarion. I think Tricarion also covers that. It's a lot of components
that look super pretty.
But I don't know if it's like innovative, because it really has a lot of cards, a lot of tiles, a lot of pieces.
And the components themselves are not that interesting.
Yeah, there's mostly a lot of cardboard
The systems
stuff.
are interesting. Another example of that would be Steampunk Rally, which has basically just cards and dice.
But the gears, which is the currency, looks cute,
pretty,
but it doesn't
do anything.
Yeah, you can do it with coins. You can do it with other things. Tapestry. We don't have Tapestry. That's the one that
that's the Civ game with all the
miniature miniature components. But then I think that then it's a mini splay, right? Which is why like. Strangely, I mean, we thought about like things like our Last Night on Earth games or Fortune and Glory. Like, is the Zeppelin worth celebrating? But it's really just a token.
Yeah. And then I guess to not spoil what games had it, but there are games that really find very interesting ways to do things. Like there have been a few games we've played that use the candle because the shadow or the amount of time the candle burns is a factor in the gameplay.
Yes.
There have been games that used UV light.
Oh,
because there are hidden information to be found in the games.
But make sure you play the game when it's new.
or at least have an easy source of batteries to replace the UV light. Yeah.
But to begin with, have a UV flashlight handy all the time because you work for CSI.
And then there have been games that used everything from the box itself to mirror reflections to transparencies. I think the only thing we haven't really seen is a game that used heat.
Like setting the components on fire.
But we have seen games wherein you scratch stuff off, you peel off the upper layer of the printing and this and that.
And we're not just talking about like legacy games where you open stuff and scratch up, but like other games.
So yeah, so it's fun to see. It's fun that there are so many components that are interesting. We've shared what we have in our collection. Wow, we would always love to hear what you guys have in your own collections.
Happy
that you feel
Salma!
are interesting
He's so happy.
components.
He's so happy.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I'm just gonna keep Happy Salma!
Oh, should we have included crazy carts?
Not really. I didn't think it was that innovative. Actually, no. What I would have wanted, like, as much as I try not to get distracted by the minis being beautiful, but if we own a copy of the Wacky Races game, I would celebrate those minis because those are great minis.
Yeah, those are great minis. I was just thinking, Crazy Kart had that the driver's panel version.
And then the
and then you had that token to represent the upgrades, and then the damage that covers things up. But yes, Happy Salmon. Happy Salmon.
Amos really selling me that Happy Salmon. Am I, or do you just like fish? Especially when they're happy. He's so happy.
So I guess that's it.
That's gotta be it.
That's all the time we have for now. That's definitely more than 30 minutes. We had a lot of fun, and we hope you will join us again next time.
If you have questions for future episodes or suggestions for other topics like this one, thanks McCoy for suggesting that we talk about game components we like. Fill out the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. Reminder that we are having the special Precious interview episode on Saturday instead of Friday. So if you have questions for Precious, you can fill up the form or you can message either of us directly on any of our socials. Also, episode 100 is next week. If you have ideas for what to do, let us know. Because, I don't know, maybe we'll just get drunk. Okay. And then you can follow us on Twitter, Altoby No Shade, RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog, that's baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
I'm very happy with this animation feature. I didn't pay anything for this. Okay. And then, yeah, feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. What components really stood out for you? And why are you now going to buy a copy of Happy Salmon or Nyctophobia? And then, be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Like some of you who came here because you saw the YouTube notification. Thank you very much. Alrighty. Yeah, that's it. I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Thanks for joining us on a Wednesday.